Many of us went into this episode thinking this is going to be hype. And boy, it was hype. It was hyper than hype. It broke the limits of hype. We got to the limit of the hype. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't. But whatever. It was hype. I dare to say that this was one of the greatest, if not the best episode of Dragon Ball Super we've had throughout all of the series. It was no doubt. I don't have any doubts that this was the best episode we've had throughout the series. In terms of fight quality, in terms of hype, in terms of getting more than what we actually expected, it surpassed all expectations, especially given the fact that they revealed almost everything about these two episodes long before the episodes actually aired. These episodes, they were still fresh feeling, and they didn't feel boring at all. It's amazing. This episode even broke the limits of Crunchyroll's servers. Like, dear God. I'm pretty sure no one actually cared about the Ribrianne stuff in the beginning of episode 109. She fought Goku for a little bit, and she transformed with the power of love from these things that the audience, the God of Destruction and the Kais, were waving at her. That's actually a reference from the Pretty Cure movies. That's how the Pretty Cure would actually get power to face the villain at the end of the movies, so to say, from the audience and the people in the movie. Ribrianne proclaims that her wish is to become a god of destruction and have everyone love her, all the mortals. She wishes to be worshipped. And it's weird because you think she'd have a better wish in terms of, maybe feeding the poor or something out of love or something like that, because, that's her motto and everything. Yeah, but her wish and ideals, they were just overshadowed by the tower that is Jiren. She bumps into Jiren after Goku knocks her over, and Jiren was just standing there not giving two shits. Like, he really wasn't giving any shits. She was calling him out, asking him to actually speak to her, like trying to get him to speak, trying to get him riled up, which I don't know, why would you do that, Ribrianne? You do not want to face this guy. I think she actually fell in love too. That's kind of weird. She started blushing somewhat. Why, Ribrianne? You're the one who's talking about him falling in love with you, but you're the one who is actually falling in love with him. I think we all fell in love with Daddy Jiren this episode. Now, time for the main event. There was barely anything I did not like about this fight. The setup was amazing. The stare downs were amazing. The fight itself was just amazing. That is all. It's really hard to be objective about this, because it was just so much hype, and I just watched the episode last night, but I still have a few criticisms, but I'm going to be a fanboy about this. They not only set this up as a main event for the Tournament of Power for the audience, the people actually watching the show, but it was also the main event for the characters fighting in the Tournament of Power. They all understood that whoever won this fight would be the turning point. Whoever won, they'd be the one they'd have to take down for the rest of the tournament. And in this case, the way it turned out, it was Jiren, because Goku actually lost this fight. Okay, so Goku starts fighting to gauge Jiren's strength. Starts at base with a Kamehameha. Then goes to Super Saiyan 1, starts fighting. Super Saiyan 2 only budges a little bit. He only budged a little bit, just his head, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't anything to be happy about. But yeah, Goku went straight from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan God. Didn't even go to Super Saiyan 3. It was pointless. So he goes Super Saiyan God, fights, barely moves still. So Goku says, yeah, this is not enough to make you get serious, is it? So he goes blue, and this is when the fight actually picks up. Not even blue was a match for this guy. The blue was nowhere on Jiren's level. Goku was fighting, but he was getting his ass kicked. He was screaming here, there, everywhere. He was being knocked around, thrown around. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. I don't know why I'm saying it's beautiful, but it was. The music actually really complemented this part of the fight. It sounded like a really dire situation in Goku's case, because it was. He was nowhere on the level of Jiren, and even though he spammed Kaioken times 10, and after a point in time, I believe after Jiren seemingly knocked him off the stage, when he came back up, I think that's when he went Kaioken times 20, but he didn't shout it out. But even after that, Jiren just spammed some sort of eye technique. It wasn't an eye technique, I know, but he just moved really fast. Like, not even Vegeta can see it. Vegeta was all like, yeah, this guy's a monster. Not even I could see what happened a while ago. Jiren just knocks Goku aside with some really, really fast punches. He just did something with his eyes. All looks grim, and then Krillin suggests that Goku use the Kaioken times 20 and he should still be able to stand, but he didn't know Goku was using it all along. Beerus and Whis knew, so everything really looked bleak at this point. But then Goku decides to use the Genki Dama. I was skeptical about this before the episode because I didn't know where the energy would come from, but I guess it kind of makes sense that he just get it from the people he knew in the arena at the time. But would that even be enough to defeat Jiren? The thing is, the previous times Goku has used the Spirit Bomb before, he got it from a number of people, like an insane number of people, and his friends at the same time. Jiren is obviously stronger than Kid Buu, so unless his friends had a humongous spike in energy from since that time, then this part made no sense that he would actually use the Spirit Bomb at this point in time. It would obviously be useless. I think the Spirit Bomb was just a plot point so Goku could transform, and that was all it was. It wasn't necessarily a trump card that made sense in this setting at this point in time, but we'll let it slide because the episode was hype, right? Jiren, my boy, even waited for Goku to charge up the Spirit Bomb. He didn't give two shits. He would just crush Goku at his best at everything and just instill this hopelessness in him. That's what he does to his enemies. Just instill hopelessness by crushing them at their strongest. Before I get into the schematics of the transformation, I want to talk about Vegeta's refusal to just give energy. I like how he stayed in character throughout this whole thing. It was great. But it also made me think about something. If the other characters are giving energy to the Spirit Bomb at this point in the game, where the Tournament of Power is not even halfway over, the whole concept of conserving energy for the rest of the tournament just flies out the window. I knew Jiren was the big contender and everything, and they needed to defeat him. But after they gave energy, wouldn't they be kind of low on it? That's just something I'm putting out there to think about. Vegeta conserved at this point in time because he's getting a big episode coming up soon after Hit vs. Jiren. But oh boy, Vegeta still got Goku's back even when he was charging up the Spirit Bomb. Rubrian tried to pull some BS and he was like, nope. Now on to the Spirit Bomb struggle and Goku's transformation. Well, Goku and Jiren, they were pushing the Spirit Bomb, and I guess the Spirit Bomb underwent so much stress from both sides that it actually became a nuke. It imploded, and it got to this point where it started to look kind of like a black hole. So Goku fell into that, and then something strange began to happen to him. One way or another, Goku was trying to survive. Whether he was trying to survive it by absorbing its energy, or he was just trying to amp up his ki to prevent the blast from completely vaporizing him. Through that struggle, the Spirit Bomb's energy mixed with his, they clashed, and Goku, being Goku, he found a way to survive. And boy, did he survive. You could say to survive, he had to break his limits. Now we know where the song title comes from. It makes so much sense now. Limit Break X Survivor. Limit Break X Survivor. A survivor who broke his limits to survive. How he broke his limits though is something that we just should not question because we won't get an answer to it. It's just, let's just chop it up to being Goku being Goku. He had inbuilt abilities to break his limits, so he was pushed to a position that he needed to break his limits or he would die, and he did. Now as the prophets prophesized, Goku rised from the ashes. He rised and rose from the dead on the third day. He came forth like the Messiah and started to 1v1 Toppo, Dispo, and Jiren. I know that's not a 1v1, it's a 1v3, but damn. Jiren just told Toppo, yeah, stay out of this. I don't need your help. I can fight this guy on my own. and Jiren starts to fight Goku on his own. And there was even a scene where Goku is punching Jiren really fast, and Jiren looked like he wasn't moving, but as Goku continued punching, he was actually forcing Jiren to actually move. Jiren would have just standed there if Goku wasn't powerful enough to actually make him move. Just gonna point that out. Jiren is a badass. As they were fighting, all the gods of destructions and the Kais in the other universes, etc., they were all surprised at Goku's new form. But rather than a new form, it seemed more like a state that even gods had trouble achieving. And the fact that a mortal achieved this state, it was shocking. Beerus was shocked. Whis was overjoyed. Another great thing I noticed is that they actually reused some animation from the opening sequence. It was very appropriate, even though it was reused at the time. Either it was reuse or it was reanimation. It was a very nice touch in my opinion. Goku actually sounded like a beast as he was fighting too. He was emitting this heat that Whis said it probably wasn't good because the transformation or the technique, the state, probably would not last as long as we'd want it to. As long as he'd want it to be able to defeat Jiren. And as you could tell, because you probably watched the episode, it did wear off. And at that point, Jiren prevailed. He knocked Goku halfway across the arena, and that was just the end of it. Hit tried to exploit the moment that Jiren was finishing off Goku to strike him down because he's an assassin, he's doing his job. Vados explained that a fighter is most vulnerable when they're finishing off their opponents, but Jiren doesn't even have that weakness. So next episode, rest in peace Hit. We hope you do some good damage, and afterwards it's Vegeta's turn to try and do something, and afterwards it's Fighting Maniac Saiyan Battle. That's the episode I am most excited for because it just sounds beastly, doesn't it? Okay, that's it for my episode review. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe, leave your comments on the episode and what else there is to come about Dragon Ball Super, etc, etc, anything Dragon Ball really.